it's been a difficult time. And as I came through that glen, you know, from Newton Brig particularly, I was coming up there and I know it sounds very strange, but that woman that I met here almost exactly 4 weeks ago, on the 12th of September, it was like she was just outside, like flying along beside the car. I was like, I mean, I've got a pretty good imagination because I have to because of writing and doing these vlogs as well because they're varied and I have to input a lot from my imagination. But this is like, and I'm thinking to myself, she had definitely come with some sort of divine message for me, and I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I'm starting to work it out a wee bit now. There's something strange. I tell you what I did do just was it last week, because she keeps popping into my mind because there's so many recurring things that I probably forgot to say on the first vlog, or probably haven't mentioned, and some of it I don't want to be honest, because it is a bit spooky. But I mentioned I'd remembered part of a registration number. Well, strangely enough, that day, last week I think it was, I suddenly remembered our whole registration number. So can you understand that your the conscious level of your mind operates so differently from your subconscious? So whatever I noted on that registration number after seeing a car parked, first awkwardly, and then secondly in the lay-by, and then thirdly up here, I only saw the registration once, but my mind had taken in the whole information. Now, that may well be because I'm very observant anyway in life, but also from the nature of certain jobs I've done, I needed to, gather information quickly, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but certainly that was the case. So what I did, because it's basically it's open to anyone to check out the registration number, I popped it into the government website, and lo and behold, the car came up, the exact colour that I described it as, a mustard coloured, and the vehicle was last registered on the 11th of the 11th of the 11th, the 11th of November 2011. So that vehicle was last registered with the DVLA on that date. I've talked so much about 11 and 11, but to have the 11, 11, 11 just like that was, well, it's a wee bit odd, isn't it? I think that on the evening on having met her, because things were so bizarre, that I probably actioned in my eagerness to kind of talk about it and share the experience with others. I think maybe that I was not meant to discuss it in such detail, and that is a bit of a lesson learned on that matter. But certainly, if I haven't mentioned before, it was very, very odd when, let me turn the camera around, let me just block out everything. There's a door over there. That's the way I was facing. It's not that door. There's a door with steps on it at the end of the hallway. And I was facing that way. And she was facing this way. And I told you before, I'm sure I did, that she said, the woman with the grey hair is she coming out or is she going into the hall? I said, she's coming out. Now, it didn't strike me quite at that moment just exactly what that meant, but she could not see that woman from the way she was facing. But much more, and I'm sure I did mention it on one of my vlogs, the early vlog on this matter, she also told me she was profoundly deaf. So the fact that she had any knowledge about somebody coming out the Amalry Hall is very, very strange. There's something very odd about the whole thing. Now, if you can't think that these occurrences are just something that's materialised over a stressful period for me during the summer months into autumn now, that's not the case. I wasn't really aware of any types of spiritual gift in my childhood or teens, for that matter. I didn't really consider anything, but I do remember lots of instances and lots of little things that did happen, which they were very difficult to share. But I remember, I don't want to give the exact year or location for obvious reasons, but this had been occurring for quite a while at that point in time. I'm talking maybe over a 2 to 5 year period at least, but certainly in a concentrated period of 2 years. This is in my adulthood, I should say, that people would say, have you been here before? Meaning in a particular workplace or a particular location. I said, no, this is my first time here. And so many people used to say, have I seen you before somewhere? And this happened in cities, all around. And I notice that people, even now, when I make an entrance somewhere, they look twice. And I've made comment about this previously, even to a friend. I said, and I think it was a text or something, that I said that it's a very strange thing, but people look once and then they look back again. It's like they take me for somebody else, or there's something that's making them look twice. I've not really quite understood it. Anyway, I don't want to sound a bit weird here, but I certainly knew there was something, but I hadn't really, understood what that was. I never understood either that why there's so much enforcement on being alone, even in company. I don't like being alone all the time, but I certainly understand why I have to be on my own. I really get this, you see. That in order for me to progress in this divine path, I have to experience greater levels of loneliness, to dig deeper into my soul and to understand exactly what this is all about. There's an activity of hill walking was all part of fun and exercise until perhaps in the last 18 months, or certainly in the last 12 months, when I was active on the mountains, that I realised well, I should maybe say it's been going on for longer than 18 months. It's probably been on for about, certainly for the last 3 to 5 years, that I understood that there was a need to be in solitude. And but I understand that the acceleration of this was certainly most prominent in the last 18 months. And when I was on the high tops on days like this, feeling challenged, I then realised that this is the time that I'm getting spiritual downloads. I'm getting a better understanding of what it's all about. A friend of mine said to me, you were doing numerological calculations decades ago. And I was. But they had no significance or any meaning. But they do now. I realise as well that in the periods where it's of darkness and loneliness that are not of my choice, I'm talking about right now. I'm talking very much in the present. Like my heart is like the passing dark clouds. There's such a sadness besieged me, and I cannot for life find any reasoning for it, any purpose, and why I deserve to be this isolated. But what gives me the strength is this understanding that it's all part of the plan to help me dig deeper and to gain more knowledge of myself and the purpose of why we were here. Something that most people don't even think about, really. They don't bother to make any understanding of their life purpose or any understanding of why they are who they are and where they came from and why they're here and where they're going afterwards. Something as I said before, that tree, while it's listening to me right now, knows exactly what is meant by what I'm saying. These mountains, these valleys, these are not the work of accident. These have all been absolutely and perfectly put in place as they are. It's the creation. It's the absolute creation on just one spot on this planet, and it's all perfectly balanced. There's nothing In that view, which is not balanced, there are a few man-made signs and a few little bits and pieces which remind us of where we are at present. But the land is absolutely perfect. The wind, the sky, everything is working in tandem, in absolute combination at every given moment. And as I've said before, like my camera is watching, well, not purposely watching those cars come round the corner, but the universe is watching every single thing to make sure that every single thing is working in harmony. We've just had a full moon in Libra. I beg your pardon. We've just had a new moon in Libra. That was on the 25th of September. The full moon, which came about on the 9th of October 2 days ago and still full, landed in the sign of Aries, a fire sign. So that full moon impacts those who have fire in their charts, or at least are born under fire signs. So for example, the Leo, the Sagittarians and the Aries. And it's incredible to think that just exactly 6 months ago that a new moon would have appeared in the sky transiting Aries, only for the full moon to be in Libra. Every single thing is mirrored exactly in this universe. I said before that the Creator, dependent on your God, is a brilliant mathematician. And I've said so many times, I'm sure, that everything is connected to the numbers. 9 digits is all we have, excluding 0. But 0 is excluded anyway in numerology. But of these 9 digits, everything is working in an incredible formula for all of us. I mentioned before about the veil, putting your hand through the veil. That's all it is. Where the two worlds collide absolutely together. But on the big scheme of things, if you've not experienced it, then you won't know what the hell I'm talking about. But the people are living in a parallel, I can't say parallel universe, but a mirrored universe to what we have. Sometimes they manage to get messages through to us, mostly in our dreams, mostly in our sleep, mostly when we're not aware. I said before that the the functioning parts of your body is incredible. Literally incredible. And none of it is under your control. As you sit looking at this, breathing and viewing things and listening to things, something that you have no control over its actions, for example. Some people just like to get from A to B in life. Quite happy with a very simple, uncomplicated life. Something that we all want. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is for anyone. Just like that tree. That tree would like to have an uncomplicated life. But that tree is twisted and bent and struggles against the storms of life, just like we do. The mountains are not always basking in sunshine. They have to endure the cold and the wet just like us. So many people in the last couple of centuries at least have ridiculed so much about what was written in the Bible and what has been passed down for generations, and people have given their lives for their faith. But the messages and the word, it's almost like someone saying to you, have you seen this movie? No, I've not seen it, but it's shite. It's just a lot of shite. How can you make that opinion if you've not seen the movie? I just know it's shite. I've heard from somebody else it's shite. All right, okay. Okay. And the passages in the Bible are written in code. They're not meant to be taken literally in passage. There's messages all the way through the Bible. I've not read the whole Bible, but in the little times I've spent reading the Bible, I've tried to understand just even what one chapter could possibly mean in the 21st century. And it means a lot. When you take a few words and examine these words, not for their meaning, but for what they are supposed to represent. And this is why people have difficulty with anything to do with the Bible. Or as so many people say, it's just a lot of shite. Just like the movie that they haven't watched. So it's almost like making, frivolous accusations or frivolous comments or cheap, statements about another person because it's like that movie you've not seen. Someone else says that, so it must be true. Yeah, it must be true because someone else said that. And that other person who said that hasn't got a fucking clue. They don't even know who the person is that they've been slagging. That's just one example in life. You hear of it all the time, see it all the time. People open a newspaper and make judgment on somebody that they don't even know just because of a headline. People turn on the television and get some news bulletin and they make an immediate decision because the presenter has painted a picture for them. What they really need to do is explore themselves in solitude. What they need to do is take themselves up into the mountains in bad weather, in darkness, and perhaps in situations which they realise that they're in a life or death situation. And in these occasions, the Creator, the God, is always very important at that moment in time. When they're faced with difficulties, despair, and misery, they cry out to the person that they don't know, but know is there. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That people make decisions and opinions on other people without any base. A person's life is not made up of one chapter. One person who makes a few errors, it's no different from the next person who's made a few errors, or the next person after that or after that. People make errors all the time. It's part of the journey. It's part of the experience of life. There's something very questionable about people who congregate and they fail to discuss their own errors or own up to their own errors, or even acknowledge that they have made errors themselves. But these people will congregate in social groups or in newsrooms even, or even just in little gossip holes where there's nothing else on offer to talk about. So let's talk about someone else. You understand? These people need to be on the mountains, in the dark, in the cold, in the wind, and face some real dangers.